So first things first, we need to make a guide track for everyone to play along to. Now I think this is probably the most important thing in getting the band sounding together, because they're all playing to the same track, and if the track's not good, then the playing's not going to be good. So it just needs to be really easy to follow. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up your digital audio workstation of choice. I've already said mine is Logic Pro. So we're going to create a new project. So once we've got our new project loaded up, what we're going to do is set the tempo and time signature for the piece. So we're doing Happy Birthday, which I already know is 100 BPM, which I'm typing up the top. It's very similar in other DAWs as well. And we'll go up to 3/4 in the time signature window because Happy Birthday's in 3/4. So what I normally do for my guide tracks is just have a metronome and a tune, if I can, played by a cornet or any instrument just playing the main line, because the click's really concise and easy to follow and the main melody's there to help everyone stay in tune. So I'm going to grab my file. All you have to do is drag it in and drop it on your first thing. Now we've already set our tempo. It's going to ask me if I want to add tempo information. I don't want that, and I don't want any markers either, just want the raw audio. So what I'm going to do is, using the two sliders on the top right hand side, is zoom in just so we can see what's happening with the audio. So we need a count in. So I'm thinking we'll have 1.5 bars of count in because the band coming in upbeat of 4 bar 3. So I'm going to drag it to where this cornet file starts on beat 3 of bar 2. Now you can tell it's beat 3 of bar 2 because it says 2-3, which is bar 2, beat 3. So we're going to make sure that's nice and lined up, which it looks fine to me. And we will just check it all lines up by turning on the metronome, which is this icon here, or on your keyboard, if you press K, that turns on your click as well. We're going to go back to the start by pressing enter and press play, which is the space bar. Great, so that all lines up nicely. What I would probably do is turn it down just slightly so the click's more prominent. And what we want to do is, before we export this, I'm going to put a limiter on the master audio file. Now what a limiter does is lets you turn it up the loudest it can go without distorting. Well, in simple terms, that's what it does. So if you go down here and then Spectre window, you can go to Audio Effects and go to Dynamics and choose Limiter. And that'll be a similar process in other digital audio workstations as well. So what I'm going to do is, you can see on this level here that it's not quite reaching 0. So I'm just going to turn it up till it reaches 0. There you go. And you'll start to get a bit of gain reduction here. Now that looks like a good amount to me. Now that'll just make sure that everyone's getting it as loud as possible, so everyone's not complaining that it's too quiet. So now we're going to export our file. First thing we need to do is take our cycle range, which is this grey thing here. If you press that once, it turns yellow and lets you change the cycle range. All that is it lets you loop things. So if I play bar 1, it will loop it. But what else it's helpful for is to choose what you want to export. So let's go from there to there. Go down to this little icon here, which is bounce, and let's create an MP3 file. Now if we were going to export a final project, I would go with a WAV file, this one here, because it's much higher quality, but it's a much bigger file size, and if we want to send this out to all the players in the band, then you'll want to go for quite a small file size, and MP3 retains the higher quality, but with a smaller file size. So go to OK, and we're going to name this Happy Birthday Guide Track. I've already got one there, so I'm just going to replace it. Great. So we've just created our guide track. Now we can go into our documents and find it and see how it sounds. So that sounds good to me. Now all you have to do is send it out to the band in an email. You might want to give them some instructions on how to do the video. So make sure if it's landscape, you'll tell them to do it landscape. If you're doing portrait video, which I wouldn't recommend, but you can do it, tell them to do it portrait. And just send them any instructions that they might need and the guide track.